All right, welcome back, everybody. We know there have been problems at the border and the sheer surge, and just the numbers are staggering. But what we learned this week from top security officials, including the head of the FBI, CIA, and others, is that some dangerous folks are getting through, and that the next terror attack on this country just could come from these individuals who are making it through these very porous open borders as they remain. Jay Johnson is with us. You remember him, of course. Calls it as he sees them. Barack Obama's Homeland Security Secretary, kind enough to join us. Secretary, good to see you again.
Nice to see you, Neil.
Let's talk a little bit about where things stand now. These security officials, to a man and woman, said essentially the same thing. We got trouble. We've got nefarious elements who might be getting through, who probably are getting through. To what end?
First of all, gotaways is a great unknown. By definition, you can't know who got away from the Border Patrol, from customs officials. The best we can do is an educated estimate. When I was in office, we were very focused on what I will refer to as special interest aliens, someone who crosses our southern border from the other hemisphere. And we have made great strides in detecting someone who is making their way from, say, the Middle East or the Far East, enters this hemisphere through South America and begins working their way up north. And while I was in office, there were some real success stories in detecting and stopping someone coming from the Middle East, trying to make their way up through South America, through Mexico, to our southern border. The numbers are much larger now. And so certainly this is an area of concern. It's an area of security concern.
But you and Barack Obama were very concerned about it back in the day. I get the impression this president either isn't or only lately aware of the degree of the problem. I'm not sure why. I understand criticizing the failure of the bipartisan border measure, the failure of that. For a lot of people, that does ring true. But almost immediately when he became president, he nixed almost everything Donald Trump was doing. Now, whatever the reason, the end result is an impression of a president who didn't want to address and really didn't care about what was happening at the border. What do you think?
The border is a top-line political issue right now.
Why didn't he very early on just get ahead of it?
Well, the same security officials who were sounding this alarm also work for him. And so I'm sure this is a concern of his.
Do you really think so? It might be now, sir, but you get the impression that he had to be kicking and screaming, A, to go to the border, and B, to do something about it.
Neil, I'll answer it this way. The problem is way bigger now than it was 10 years ago when I was in office. The problem actually got a lot bigger while Donald Trump was in office. In the year 2019, when Trump was president, there were 1 million apprehensions on our southern border. So there's something much larger at work now than
well, now it's on steroids.
Well, yes, no matter who the president is,
yeah.
There's a hemispheric shift northward because of drought, famine, corruption, crime, violence, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And what frustrates me about this debate, sitting in the comfort of my office 3 blocks up on 6th Avenue, it's always easier to analyze these problems when you're out of office, is a solution is at hand. There is a hard negotiated bipartisan bill negotiated by Jim Langsford, Chris Murphy, Kirsten Sinema to solve this problem. The frustrating thing about the immigration system, our broken immigration system, there are solutions, Neil, but they are politically unobtainable because this is such a politically volatile issue.
Well, those who voted against the measures, some said it was Donald Trump because he said, don't do this, it's a political issue, whatever. But there are others that say, well, there were enough holes in that deal that we still around a good number.
Having been the person who owned this problem for 3 years, yeah. I beg to differ. No bill is perfect, but this
was better than nothing, right?
This bill is the strongest, most pro-border security bill that has been negotiated in decades.
So the ones who didn't like it, Secretary, were the ones who said, well, it's still allowed for thousands to still get through day in
Well,
day.
let's not be the perfect the enemy of the good.
Very good point, very good point. So that is what Joe Biden is hanging his hat on, and in his State of the Union address, that is the way he's framed it as Republicans' fault. Now, this late interest in this, bipartisan security measure, which is, hey, it's, to your point, it's something. It was, and there was bipartisan support. Do you think that that's an excuse on his part, that if he was so concerned about it, he could have addressed this on his own with a number of measures, or either seal the border,
there's a limited amount.
do a lot of the things that you were
There's a
advocating?
limited amount you can do by executive action. The executive branch on its own can't print money to produce more resources.
But he took an executive action to stop the border wall.
Well, hold on. I know
What do you
from
think of that?
personal experience, there's a limited amount you can do in the immigration space through executive action.
I know, but that I gave you one example there where he did, by executive action, stop the border wall funding. Now, you're quite right. There are some people say, well, that wasn't the solution, but it was a means by which we could stop the civ of people, right?
I would support building a wall simply for the sake of building a wall. There is smart border security. There are places where a wall makes sense, and there are places where a wall does not.
But do you think that sent a signal that we were open for business? Come on to America. Come on.
I would agree that it is important that we send the right message to Central America. But Neil, I keep coming back to this. The bill that was negotiated would create a Title 42-like emergency authority to send people back more quickly. It would raise the bar for how you qualify for asylum in this country, which is a huge magnet
it was something.
in our system.
It was something.
It was more than something. It was a good bill. It was a strong bill. And it is
Do you blame
dying
Donald
on
Trump
the vine.
for that?
I'm not interested in blaming this politician or that politician. As an American citizen, I'm interested in solving the problem. And there's some senators who sat down.
Donald Trump for this.
But again,
you don't.
I'm not interested in Trump versus Biden, who's to blame. Here's the solution. Constituents, Americans concerned about border security should be writing their representatives in Washington, phoning their representatives in Washington saying, hey, there's a solution to this problem. Vote for this solution. Let's deal with the problem. Let's stop complaining about the issue and bickering about it.
So let me ask you, barring that, it doesn't look likely, and you had a chance to come back to Washington and try to deal with this yourself, what would be the first thing you would do?
First thing I would do is go to Republicans and Democrats and say, help me to help you, to help your constituents solve this problem. It is a huge problem right now. The numbers are unprecedented over a period of decades. And if we're genuinely interested in solving the problem, work with me to do that. There are solutions. There is a fix. It's in my right pocket right here. So let's vote this bill.
All right. Secretary, great seeing you. I didn't know you were so close. You're right here, right across the street from
Right up there
but
at 1285
like booking Elvis. We have a great deal of
You should invite me more.
I will. All right. I'll keep trying. Secretary, thank you very much. Jay Johnson, Barack Obama's Homeland Security Secretary.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.